Yes, villagers, today we're going to be giving you 4 things to stop expecting from other people, which will improve your mental health. If you want to find out if your view is recommended among the 4, you are in the right place. If you're new to this channel, welcome to our village. If you're a returning villager, welcome as well. So, let's get into it. Welcome to Garden of the Mind, where we reduce stress, improve our health and fitness, and improve our financial IQ every episode. If we manage our expectations about our situations, we can get so much more out of life. If we spend most of our time working on ourselves, that in itself will help us to improve and get better in terms of our mental health. But there are several different people who've been sprinkled around us that complicate things just a little bit. But remember, the problem is not with them, it's in our interpretation of those people and how we are handling those situations. So we're going to be giving you 4 of those today. Thing number 1, stop expecting happiness from someone else. No one knows exactly what makes you happy. You might be able to communicate those things to them, but no one still knows exactly what makes you happy, nor is anybody responsible for your happiness. We're talking about your children, we're talking about your husband, we're talking about your wife, we're talking about your job, we're talking about whatever in this world. The only one that is responsible for your happiness is you. If you start to look for other people to make you happy, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. If you put things that you can control in someone else's hands, you're bound to be disappointed. Thing number 2, fairness or rationality. Fairness and rationality is what we use to make sense of the world. So if someone has more, we try to work towards giving the person with more less, and the person who has less giving them more. So we try to balance out the scales somewhat. However, that might be in the court system, that might be in terms of spirituality or other things. But in our personal relationships, not everyone is using the same metric for fairness. We may be using logic and rationality, they might be using something else. So if we think that we can make something make sense to someone and then they'll follow it or they'll do it, we may also be setting ourselves up for failure. Whether it makes sense to a person or not, the bottom line is whether they would like to do it or not. And we can make it make sense to them, but they still may choose to do something a different way. So we can't necessarily look towards fairness or rationality to be the standard that everyone uses to bridge stalemates or disagreements. Thing number 3, looking for other people to concede your point. Sometimes we feel like we're in a court of law and we have to prove our case to someone before they believe in what it is that we are saying. Whether we prove this case successfully or not, some people just are not going to see our point just by virtue of the fact that it's our point. Some people will not see your point no matter how hard you try, no matter what facts you bring, no matter what evidence you bring to a situation to try to prove your point, they will not see it. There is a saying, there is none so blind as those who refuse to see. There are people out here in the world who refuse to see, and they refuse to accept your point no matter how much sense it makes or whether it's the best thing to do. Everyone has their own perspective and they're not going to see things in the exact way that you see things, and that's okay. Thing number 4, expecting yourself from other people. Now, I think this is a hard lesson that so many of us had to have learned, but it's probably one of the first and the most important. We can't expect someone to do the exact same thing that we would do in their situation. Example, if you got a job and you hooked up your friends when you had that job, now they have a better job and you're expecting them to hook you up in the same way that you hooked them up, it may not happen. People are not going to behave the exact way that you behaved in that situation, nor will they do what you think that they should do in the positions that they're in. I think the toughest part about that is there's an agreement of mutuality. So you imagine if you and your friend come to a building and there are two doors, you hold the first door open, you imagine that the friend is going to hold the second door open for you. That may not happen. These are the things, and it's just that slight, where you expect a person to do exactly what you would have done in that situation. So you are expecting yourself from your friend, and your friend is their own person, and you have to respect whatever decision it is that they make, despite even sometimes an agreement. Managing expectations is one of the best things that we can do. It's okay for us to expect the best, but if we get the worst, we can't be too disappointed in that. If we manage our expectations, that also limits the amount of disappointment that we face. If we expect nothing when we do something for someone, then when we get that back, we won't be disappointed. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you want to know when I post, which is Wednesday, click on that notification bell. You get that ding on the phone, and you know that a new video is waiting for you. And remember, thoughts are actions, words have power, and actions have consequences. I'll see you next week. See you then.